Extreme Ownership, in my opinion, is a great book. It's written by two former Navy SEALs, Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Extreme Ownership is a unique and insightful leadership book. It comes from a military perspective, which I found fascinating. They would take a military principle, show the value of the principle, the consequences if the principle wasn't applied, and then how that principle applies to leadership in any situation. The true military stories were fascinating to me, and they emphasized the points of being proactive, organized, and disciplined. I love the focus on personal responsibility. Leaders are responsible for everything within their jurisdiction, whether it be in a military setting or a boardroom setting. I really like the fact that the buck stops with me. If I'm leading my team, I'm responsible for them and their mistakes. If I train them well, they will succeed. If I have not, the fault's on me. So much truth in that. It has really caused me to think through some of the ways that I lead. There are great communication principles and the importance of simplicity to avoid confusion. I'm now asking myself, as a leader, do I complicate things? Am I clear? Do I communicate in a way that doesn't cause confusion? Lots of great quotes in the book. Here's one that I really like. Leaders must own everything in their world. There is no one else to blame. So if you're a leader or hope to be a leader one day, I think you will learn a lot from this book. Here's another quote that I loved. For leaders, the humility to admit and own mistakes and develop a plan to overcome them is essential to success. The best leaders are not driven by ego or personal agendas. They're simply focused on the mission and how best they can accomplish it. With everything I read, there's always a marriage principle. I'm always looking for those. You know, we all seem to have the ability to point the finger at the other person. Maybe our spouse, maybe our kids. And we do that sometimes instead of taking personal responsibility. For me as a husband, God gave me the role of leadership. If I don't lead well, my family's affected. And when that happens, this is what I learned. I don't blame them for their mistakes. I mean, sure, when people make mistakes, there may be consequences. With teenagers or kids, there maybe need to be consequences. But say, for example, my teenager breaks curfew. Well, when they do that, I want to ask myself, did I really help him or her understand why they have the curfew that they have and to a point where it makes sense to them? Did I communicate that as they build trust, that their curfew times can change? Say I asked Nancy to do something for me one day and then she forgets. Did I let her know this was a priority for me and why it was important to me? She doesn't know that unless I tell her. And the same is true for me with her. So when things like this happen, I look at myself. Did I come alongside them? Am I going to come alongside them? Am I going to figure out how I could have led them better? That's what I want to do. It's a powerful marriage principle. The book is Extreme Ownership. It's an updated edition that's out now. Jocko Willink and Leif Babin are the authors. I think it's an awesome book that's worth reading.